So the happiness hypothesis, originally the title was 12 Great Truths, Insights into Mind and Heart from Ancient Cultures and Modern Psychology. It wasn't about happiness. I just read all the ancient wisdom literature, picked out all the psychological claims, put them in a gigantic WordPerfect document back then, sorted them, said, okay, the most common, there's a couple that are most common, but like one of the most common is that the mind is divided into parts that sometimes conflict. Every thoughtful society has noticed this. The flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, that ye cannot do the things ye would. Why don't you just do the things you want to? And many societies have used animal metaphors, because ancient societies, everybody lived with animals. And so, Plato gave us the metaphor of the reason is the charioteer trying to control two horses. One is the noble passions, one is the base or low passions. And there are a variety of horse metaphors, because horses are smart, but you have to control them. And I, given what I was studying in psychology and moral, and my theory of moral judgment was about how it's really overwhelmingly driven by gut feelings. I'm a full devotee of David Hume, who said reason is and ought only to be the slave of the passions, and can never pretend to any other office than to serve and obey them. So I wanted an animal that was larger and smarter. So I said, I don't want to use a horse, I want to use an elephant. Now, it's very possible I just took this from Buddha, because the Buddhist tradition does use that metaphor. But it just seemed like that's the right animal to me. So the metaphor that I came up with, because at least certainly from teaching Psych 101, from being a professor, I've learned you have to help people build an intellectual framework first, and then you put stuff in it. And so I use a lot of metaphor. And so the metaphor is, we are like a small boy sitting on the back of a large elephant. And the elephant, the small boy is conscious reasoning. That's the tiny bit of mental process that we're aware of. And the elephant is everything else that we're not aware of. And if the boy wants the elephant to go to the left, he can tug on his ear or something, and the elephant will go to the left. Unless the elephant doesn't want to. If the elephant wants to go to the right, it's going to go to the right. So that was my metaphor. And it seems to be especially when I hear from psychotherapists, they almost all tell me that's the metaphor that helps me talk to my clients, my patients. That helps us, because everyone is in therapy for something like this, like a rider-elephant problem.
Exactly. The elephant will go there as long as there's not a female elephant nearby at a certain time of the year or whatever like that. And so you bring up all these really cool metaphors in your writing. I think tail wagging the dog, and then you've got Plato's chariot, there are a couple of charioteers. There's one in Hindu writing as well.
Yeah.